Hello and welcome to LNTV News Live, 10 minutes of major happenings here in Liberia, Africa and the rest of our one world. My name is Edward Tamba, anchoring this morning's edition of the program. And the big stories we're following: government scores record 59% in corruption control in the 2018-19 scorecard of the Millennium Challenge account Liberia. Liberia Senate has launched investigation into the recent election violence in Mossorado County District number 13. President George Weah has disclosed plans by his government to place players of the national team, the Lone Star, on payroll. And away from home, hundreds of Ethiopian Jews gathered in the country's capital, Addis Ababa, to protest the Israeli government's refusal to allow them to immigrate to Israel, which they say is intended to split families. These stories are all packaged after this break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to the program. President George Weah has disclosed plans by his government to place players of the national team, the Lone Star, on payroll. According to the president, Lone Star players form part of the workforce, and as such, they deserve to be paid. He made the disclosure at the dinner organized for the players of Lone Star following their victory over Zimbabwe in Liberia.
But everybody talk about the rise. No one talk about national team rise. National team is not being paid, but the struggle the player do for the nation. But in the labor force, everybody want increase or they want something. So let us think about making this labor force also be on our payroll. I spent 20 some more years serving national team. Maybe more, maybe less, from 1986 to 2002. I played for the national team. My first year, I was on a salary of $123.23. So they call it 123. So I one of the players that used to take the 123. We're very small, but the fact that we're on payroll encourages us to care ourselves every day for our nation. So then you draw from my conclusion that we can motivate our team to even do better.
President George Weah with that proposal to place the national team players, the Lone Star, on payroll. What the Youth and Sports Minister Zoga Wilson was at that occasion, and he lauded the president for that proposal and encouraged the players to do more to promote the Lone Star of Liberia.
And we are confident that the young team we have, given what we have in the works, we are confident that we can make it. We just call on the country to continue to lend its support to our team. There is no question about the president's support. That is not in question at all. So we know what he's going to do. But once again, I want to thank our team for the victory yesterday. Prior to yesterday's victory, Liberia was fourth on the table, along with Congo-Brazzaville was ahead of us in goal difference. because of our victory yesterday, and because the game drew yesterday as well between Brazzaville and DR Congo, Liberia is now second on the league table. What that means is Liberia's last game that will be played in March 2019 in DR Congo, we only need to draw that game away and we'll be to the African Cup of Nations. It is a challenge, but it's not impossible.
And I agree with the minister on that one, and wish the Lone Star all the best they can to qualify for the Nations Cup in Cameroon. Zioga Wilson, thank you there for that one. The Liberian government has scored a record 59% in the control of corruption in the 2018-19 scorecard of the MCC Liberia. Now, in order to access funds through the MCC, a country must score on its high corruption indicator, among other indicators. Now, the report was recently released by the MCC in Liberia. Attorney Alfonso Zion is the Director of Communication. He's been saying more to LNTV about Liberia's progress.
It's important for us to emphasize control of corruption, because under the MCC indicator grading system, if a country needs to pass control of corruption to be able to be eligible. You can pass all of them. If you put your control of corruption, you are not eligible. So control of corruption is very important. I mean, even though Liberia dropped 2 of the indicators, I mean, past 8 to 12, Liberia is continuing to do well in terms of control of corruption. And we'll discuss the details as we go forward. In 2017, for instance, Liberia had 0.08 in 2017. In 2018, Liberia passed 0.10. I mean, the median, the lowest that you need to do more than before you are considered passed is 0.00. So 0.08, 0.10. This year we got 0.12. So technically, Liberia has been improving on its control of corruption credentials. Yeah. The way the calculations on the indicators are used in control of corruption assessment, there's a wide range of indicators. They talk about whether government officials take bribe. They talk about whether there is private interest that has taken control of the state, whether corruption is at all levels. We talk about institutional framework development to put in place measures to fight corruption. So Liberia has been doing on fighting corruption, on control of corruption in spite of the drop in the total number of
Attorney Alfonso Zion there speaks for the Millennium Challenge account Liberia. Well, the Liberian Senate has launched an investigation into the recent election violence that happened in District Number 13, Monserrado County over the weekend. The matter was brought to the plenary of the Liberian Senate by Grand Bassa County Senator Yomble Kanga Lawrence. Here is Senator Lawrence, followed by other senators.
What happened in District 13 is even bigger than what we have been talking about in our different hearings that we have, especially public hearings. And we didn't wait for those investigations before doing it. My complaint is not about me, Senator Lawrence. It's not about any political party. It's about Liberia. And I'm encouraging leaders, and I'm encouraging all of us to air our views as these situations unfold, to be able to guide the situation, because that's why you have 3 branches of government to have the balance. And we say this kind of action has the propensity to undermine the peace and stability of this country. How do we get it out there? By speaking on these issues.
I was also of the opinion that our committee on security and intelligence takes seize of this matter, because as we speak, there is an ongoing investigation that is being carried out by the security apparatus. And our committee on security has oversight over these institutions. So it will appear quite natural that this committee takes seize of this matter and that summon the relevant security apparatus that are conducting their own parallel investigation.
We are moving on rocky grounds. We are moving on rocky grounds. We need to hold it so that we can learn safely. And so I will join our learned counselor that an independent inquiry should be instituted after perhaps our committee make a report.
Well, senators are giving their own views on the recent election violence in District Number 13, as it was brought to that body by Grand Bassa County Senator Yombli Kanga Lawrence. Well, the Minister of Post and Telecommunications, Councillor Kopokra, Tuesday received in audience Korean Ambassador Lee In-tan at the Ministry of Post and Telecommunications in Monrovia. During their meeting, Ambassador In-tan expressed interest in Liberia's education, agriculture, infrastructure development.
We have the power cable, the ice cable of Europe is in Liberia. Now, we're now trying to build a ring, power ring around Monrovia, but then we need a backbone. How do we get connected to not only the neighboring country, but all our provincial capitals? That requires some huge investment. And we look forward to some assistance in those kind of areas. But like you said, during your next visit, I'm sure we can go into more detail to look at some of the needs we have, and maybe you can see which area you might be of help to our ministry and to our government. But the government, now you pay a visit to the foreign ministry. The government and the president and the government office teaching, they are trained. They are trained the whole Korean people to work without any rest. Work hard, and
to ring the bell in the morning for everybody to go.
They constructed the road, and in the past, the farms irregularly the boundaries, so to easy irrigation, they make the water to go. So I think 1960, 1970, we received a lot of the assistance from United Nations and developed countries. So our parents.
Korean ambassador there. If you're just coming our way, you're watching LNTV News live, coming to you from Pinsville, outside of the nation's capital, Monrovia. My name is Edward Tamba, anchoring this morning's edition of this news program. And the big stories we're following: the Liberian government scored a record 59% in control of corruption in the 2018-19 scorecard of the Millennium Challenge account Liberia. Liberian Senate launches investigation into the recent election violence in District Number 13, Montserrat County. President George Manawiya discloses plans by his government to place the players of the national team, the Lone Star, on payroll. And hundreds of Ethiopian Jews gather in Addis Ababa to protest against Israel's refusal to allow them to go back to Israel. These developments are still ahead, but first this break. To be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to the program. Liberia will this week join the rest of the world to commemorate the 16 Days of Activism. 16 Days of Activism is celebrated each year around the world and is meant to address sexual and gender-based violence issues across the world. Lofty Sear works with the Ministry of Gender and Sexual-Based Violence. She's been saying more to the station about the 16 Days Activism.
And gender-based violence in the workplaces, schools, and communities. Take action, report it, and promote a Liberia free of violence. So that's our national team. And as always, they have been harassment in the workplace, molestation, and all of that. So this year we see there's a need to focus on the schools and workplaces and also the community. It's just a broad spectrum. It's all over. But for the purpose of this year's celebration, we are looking at the schools, workplaces, and the communities. First, we are going to have a press conference, and that will be held on Friday, November 23 in the compound of the Ministry of Gender. So this press conference is for the ministry to be able to give out to the public an overview of what the 16 Days of Activism is and what the public hopes to expect during this 16 days period. So that will be the press conference, and it's also the pre-launch is on Friday, November 23. So after that, we will have a prayer service, and that prayer service will be held on Sunday, November 25 at the Empowerment AME Temple Church in Congo Town. And after that, on the 26th, which is Monday, we will have the official launch. And this launch starts off with a march, an anti-rape march. And it would amaze you to know that we have gotten support from the President of Liberia. So this march will be headlined by the President of Liberia and the First Lady. So we will march up to a given venue where we have an outdoor program.
Love to say there of the Ministry of Gender. Well, meanwhile, the Executive Director of Kids Education and Empowerment Program, KIB, Brenda Masida, says the organization will celebrate the 16th Day Activism with focus on children.
So our own approach to the 16 days will focus on children in school. And so our awareness will be around how can we create more conversation with the children around how do they report, but also how do they avoid issues around being abused. You know, oftentimes our society is set in a way that children are not encouraged to have conversations around certain things. You're not supposed to talk about man or woman business. You're not supposed to report your elder. When people do things to you, you're not supposed to just report it. So our own approach to the 16 days will be focusing on children. How can they be more aware of specific things like inappropriate touching, inappropriate conversations, comments from older people, or even caregivers, or even their peers. You know, we have this culture where the girl starts to develop. Then we say, rest ring coming on her chest. Then you mention it to her, you know. Or the gay girl walking in and say, her butt coming, or they knock her butt. So even in the schools, the teachers make these comments. So our own activism will focus on the children in schools during the 16 days.
Brenda Masida, the Executive Director of KIB. Well, Liberia Monday joined the rest of the world in the celebration of International Men's Day. The day is intended to inform and educate the rest of the world on why it's important to discuss men's-related issues. Serving as guest speaker, former Liberian Vice President Joseph Boakai called on people to stop creating a negative image for men.
As we forge ahead in the unending development of our beloved Liberia, we are faced both as a nation and a family of people with many daunting challenges, one of which is the urgency of bringing back values that once buttressed the moral fabric of our nation. I'm therefore delighted to address the theme of your year's program, promoting positive male role models in Liberia. Allow me to first remind us, all of us, of the 6 pillars that serve as objectives of the international entity. 1, to promote positive male role models. not just movie stars and sportsmen, but everyday working class men who are living decent, honest lives. 2, health and well-being, social, emotional, physical, and spiritual. 4, to highlight discrimination against men in areas of social services, social attitudes and expectations and law. 5, to improve gender relations to promote gender equality. 6, to create safer, better world where people can be safe and grow to reach their full potential. We are informed that these pillars focus activities mainly on 4 general areas. 1, men's and boys' health. 2, gender relations. 3, gender equality. 4, male role models. In this light, your annual celebration highlights discrimination against men and boys, but more importantly, it celebrates their achievements and contributions, particularly to community, family, marriage, and child care.
Former Vice President Joseph Nyuma Boakai, there serving as guest speaker at the International Day of, at the Men's Day celebration in Monrovia. While in the wake of the ongoing impeachment debate, a former senator says the process leading to the impeachment of Justice Janet is marked by emotions. Mr. Blambo Nelson said the entire process is complicated and called on the various stakeholders to allow the process play out itself in line with the Constitution of Liberia.
Well, my reading is that, again, as I said, this is a country that is moving forward, rocking from side to side. The last time, to the best of my memory, that I ever heard of impeachment during my lifetime was, I think, during the back in the days of the PRC with Chair Chico. Yeah, that was not a very pleasant event, but that was the last time I ever heard and witnessed of such. So there's not too many examples in Liberian history. There are a few, there are not too many. What is going on today is part of that learning process. The process is in motion. It has to play itself out, and I wouldn't want to comment on it because it's a pretty complicated matter, and it should be. The impeachments are never simple issues, and the authorities, the judiciary, the legislature, the executive, they're trying to work it out in keeping with the due process of the law. I think that is good.
Social political commentators say it's more of politicking than legal.
Well,
do you see it that way?
Well, again, you can, those officers of our government, according to our constitution, that are subject to impeachment procedures, I think the procedure itself invites some level of politicking, because by the time you get to the Senate, on the Senate floor, and they listen to all of the legal arguments, then they have to vote, and the voting is may not be necessarily on the strength of the legal arguments made. They could be tainted by the politics of the day. Hopefully not. But again, the whole issue of politics at work and all of that, I mean, it comes with it. It comes with the terrain.
Former Grand Creek County Senator Blambo Nelson speaking on the ongoing debate to impeach Associate Justice Cabinet Janet. Away from whom now, hundreds of Ethiopian Jews gathered in the country's capital, Addis Ababa, on Monday to protest the Israeli government's refusal to allow all of them to immigrate to Israel, which they say has split the families between the two countries. About 135,000 Ethiopian Jews live in Israel, many of whom are related to nearly 8,000 still awaiting permission to perform Aliyah or Jewish immigration in Israel. Last October, the Israeli government made plans to bring over 1,000 people, but only one family has been allowed into the country since then. That brings us to the end of this morning's presentation of LNTV News Live. Before we let go of a reminder of the big stories we told you this morning. The Liberian government has scored a record 59% in control of corruption in the 2018-19 scorecard of the Millennium Challenge account Liberia. Liberian Senate launches investigation into the recent election violence that happened in District Number 13, Moserado County. President George Manawia has disclosed plans by his government to place the players of the National Lone Star team on payroll. And away from home, hundreds of Ethiopian Jews gathered in Addis Ababa to protest against Israel's refusal to allow them to immigrate to Israel. Many thanks to all of you for watching LNTV News Live this morning. Many thanks to all of our researchers, contributors, reporters, and editors for making this edition a success. On behalf of the entire production team here at the Liberia National Television, my name is Edward Tama. Good morning. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Thank you for my control.